couple of news stories here, pretty interesting stuff. So Darksiders 3 was announced this week. It was first leaked, and then about an hour later, IGN, I think, broke the story. They were supposed to have the exclusive, but it leaked. Darksiders 3 is interesting. It's an open-world action-adventure game. It's from Gunfire Games, and it's about Fury, who's the third of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and it's being published by THQ Nordic. Really interesting. They showed some short gameplay stuff. I personally never played the first 2 Darksider games. I think, Ian, you said you haven't either. Dom, I'm not sure
correct.
If you have experience with Darksiders.
Nope. None.
The first 2 games, didn't care. They were hack and slash, button mashy kind of games. It was originally, the first 2 Darksiders were developed by Vigil Games. Gunfire Games, the new studio that's working on Darksiders 3, is comprised of a lot of those guys. THQ Nordic actually brought on a lot of those guys, the producer, one of the leads, and so it's going to have the same Darksiders feel for the most part. The thing that gets me excited is it seems, and this is like a trend that's going on, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but this game looks like it's inspired by FromSoftware to some capacity. It seems like the combat's a little bit better. It's not as... I don't want to say lazy, more like sloppy combat. One of the things when I saw the first 2 Darksiders was the hack and slash. It just seemed like it was just...
the combat's better than the previous 2 Darksiders, you mean?
Yeah, did I say Dark Souls? Sorry
For a second
that.
I was like...
No. Yeah, sorry about that.
There.
I misspoke. Yeah, so it looks interesting. I think having a female protagonist is cool. This character's actually been known about. The story is a lot more interesting than I thought. I don't want to go into too much because if people want to go back and play it with the announcement of this, I don't want to spoil it for them. But it's pretty interesting. She's the sister of the main character in the first game, so that's pretty cool. I'm down whenever a game has strong female protagonists and they're also good games. Like Horizon is an excellent example of that. I think diversity in games is cool. And this game piques my interest. Like I had no interest in the first 2, but depending on when we see more and what's going down exactly, I might come around to playing this game. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It still doesn't scratch that itch. Yeah,
I don't know. Something about it just never looked appealing to me. Not really fair judgment, I guess, but I just never... I'll look, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah. I mean, if it came out and, like, all the other guys, like, all the other Easy Allies guys are, like, going bonkers for it.
Yeah.
And then, like, 5 people tweet at me. They're like, oh, my God, you're going to love it. Like, that's what happened to me with Nier Automata. Like, I wasn't going to play it because it looks not... Like, I'm not interested. And then now I kind of really enjoy it. So you never know, but, yeah, I'm not likely to play it.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If Darksiders has 3 games and we never get a Bayonetta 3, it's going to be a really interesting landscape. The next story here is pretty cool as well. This also comes by way of IGN. It basically talks about how Remedy, the guys behind Quantum Break, Alan Wake, 2 of my favorite games of all time. Quantum Break I wouldn't say is one of my favorite games of all time, but it's a game I enjoyed on Xbox One. Also Max Payne. They've actually partnered with 505 Games, the publisher. Really interesting. They announced in a press release it's going to be multi-platform, so no longer are they making Xbox exclusives. And it states that it's featuring an intriguing story and a game structure offering a long-lasting experience. So that pretty much doesn't say anything. The project,
or it's a roguelike free-to-play.
Yeah, exactly. And the project is actually called P7. I think it's their 7th project. That's why it's P7. It contains the deepest game mechanics yet in a Remedy game. I'm excited for this. I think that it's cool to see a company see how good Remedy games are. Remedy was seeming like they're going more independent and they wanted to pick up a publisher. And I think 505 Games understands that they make quality products. Alan Wake was a phenomenal game. Alan Wake American Nightmare, which was like the DLC standalone sequel-y kind of thing, was also really good. And then Quantum Break was a good game. I think it got underrated and it got kind of forgotten because of the TV mixture stuff. And I don't think that stuff was done great, but it wasn't bad. The gameplay itself was phenomenal. Like the time powers, time shifting, being able to manipulate the environments and everything like that. Very solid game, very well polished game. It just was real unfortunate that it got mixed into like being, oh, it's a TV video game thing. It's not really worth it, And I really think it's one of, if not the, like, premier Xbox One exclusive. I think it's better than any of the Halo games that have come out or Gears games. Though I haven't played Gears 4, so I can't really say that. But I loved Quantum Break a lot, and I'm excited to see what Remedy does because I think they're a very underappreciated studio.
I would have preferred another Alan Wake. I loved that game.
I know.
I'm sure whatever else they're doing now is going to be cool, but I just wish it was Alan Wake.
I'm also not sure if they own the rights to Alan Wake or if Microsoft does. I'd have to look into that. I'm not too sure.
Good question.
Mm-hmm. But they said this is an all-new IP, so it's not Alan Wake, but in the future, I wonder if they can go back to that. But it's really cool. Happy for Remedy Games. Those guys make really quality products. Next story here, Code Vein. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They had the big unveil where they had the teaser animated trailer with this really cool art style, and then it ended with hashtag prepare to dine. And we were talking about, like, does that mean it's God Eater? Does that mean it's like a vampire game? And we were kind of right. It's by the guys who developed God Eater. I guess a lot of people are describing it as what anime Dark Souls is the best one-liner elevator pitch, I guess.
To me, it looks a lot, anime Dark Souls with the combat more like Bloodborne. I think it looked faster, right?
It looks faster, yeah. The problem I had with the trailer was the anime style kind of jarred me a little bit because the enemies didn't look super anime-like. Like the enemies looked CG, and then when they cut to the face of the player character, I was like, "Whoa,
it was
is this
weird.
A movie or something? Like what?" And I was like, "They don't look like they go together at all." It was very weird. And I thought that the combat looked like it didn't have a lot of... Like, the hits didn't feel impactful.
Yep.
They just kind of, like, sliced right through the enemies. And, I mean, yeah, it's early gameplay stuff. If it was even gameplay, like, who knows? So I'm sure that they can sweeten that up later before the game comes out. But, yeah, I don't know. I was about it. I mean, obviously, Prepare to Dine I thought was a really weird, not great thing. Because they're, like... so directly drawing the comparison to Dark Souls, it's like why? But they're just like piggybacking off the popularity, I guess. But yeah, I was more intrigued by the animated thing, just stylistically. I kind of hoped that the game would just look like that, like be a crazy scribbly 2D Metroidvania sort of deal or something. This trailer kind of unsold me a little bit. Like I'm still interested and I still want to play it, but I'm at like a 6 instead of an 8 now, or like a 5 instead of an 8.
Yeah, the animated thing kind of felt to me like it was doing what Salt and Sanctuary did, was taking that Souls feel and putting in a 2D perspective, and I really love the art style in that animated short.
It made me think of like that Cartoon Network show, Samurai Jack. That's kind of
Samurai Jack, yeah.
My biggest fear, and I want to play Code Vein, and I hope it's good, because of the Prepare to Dine slogan and how it looks like Souls, but it doesn't quite look like Souls. Where, like you said, the hits don't really look like a Souls hit, or they probably don't feel like that. I hope this isn't just a cash grab kind of thing where it's like, let's slap in some anime for anime fans and let's slap in the dark stuff for Dark Souls and the gameplay like Dark Souls. People will eat that crap up and they'll buy it, Yeah. Because we're not getting a Souls game from. It's really weird. I hope it's not that.
When I saw the gameplay, it made me feel like, and I don't want to think of an example to like make it seem like I'm throwing something under the bus, but it definitely seemed like, oh, okay, this is a high mid-tier action game instead of like god tier Souls, or I would say like Bloodborne or Neo. Like, it's more of like, and I'm not saying that the Devil May Cry games are bad, but it's more like a Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, platinum-y sort of action vibe, maybe. Yeah. Meets Dark Souls, which is like, again, not bad, but less my taste than a Souls game, But I mean, historically, Souls clones are hit or miss,
Exactly. That's the thing, is this is like a 50-50 bet. I hope it's good.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, it's one thing for the environments to be very Souls-like and dark and somber, but it's very weird for there to be the anime heroes and then all of the enemies still are dark. Like, you could have easily just made the environments very dark and then both of them them and the enemies anime, but it's just really weird that you chose one over the other. Really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's very strange.
It's interesting. It's going to be interesting how that game plays out and comes out, and it's slated for next year, which if, Bloodborne ends up coming out this year or next year, it's going to be odd for them to have a game like that is mid tier probably, coming out next to the example it's basing itself off of, God tier.
I think that they would. I think that they would probably move it so it didn't come out
yeah.
around that. I mean, if they're smart, they'd come out before. But since they just said the year and not a quarter, this game might be like end of 2018. Who knows? Also, I just had a thought that maybe the incongruous style of the art of the playable characters versus the enemies is to accentuate that they're not revenant or whatever they call that they're more lifelike than the enemies, that they still have like some blood in them because they're they've got they're the vampire blood thing, and the other people have all basically gone hollow. I forgot what the terminology was, but maybe that's why they're doing it. I don't know.
Also, I think that this is going more towards a general audience, still niche, but more general than Dark Souls, and maybe having them be separated so far from everything else in the environment gives people a better indication when they run into NPCs that they are friendly and they're not bad guys. Because
that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. There's plenty of design decisions that can be made. Publishers we think are smart, and you're like, yeah, maybe they'll make sure that Code Vein doesn't come out anywhere near Bloodborne 2.
Oh yeah.
But one publisher that didn't do that is EA, with Titanfall and Battlefield 1 coming out next to each other. And Titanfall 2 didn't sell very well, and we actually have a weird announcement related to that, where Titanfall is getting a real-time strategy spin-off. It's a mobile game, and some of the features they actually mentioned on the website: deploy your pilots and Titans in fast-paced fluid battles, fight head-to-head in dynamic real-time strategy warfare, kind of all the buzzword key terms for like mobile games, upgrading your squad and all this stuff. It looks cool. A lot of times with mobile games, for me, it seems like if you're interested in the IP that's featured, you'll at least give it a try, right? Like Fire Emblem Heroes, I enjoyed for what it was.
Especially if it's free.
Exactly. This is interesting. I like the universe of Titanfall, and any chance I have to play more of it, considering we probably won't get a third one, I'd assume, from Respawn, considering they're in the Star Wars wheelhouse now after Titanfall 2. This is very interesting to me. I don't know if this was a move by Respawn, because they own the IP, obviously, or if this was a move by the publisher. What do you guys think? Like, why did this game pop up? Why did we get Titanfall mobile game, of all things?
It was weird. It felt like, oh, that's what they're doing with this. Okay. That was my reaction. I was kind of just, it could be cool. Like you said, Fire Emblem Heroes was actually not a bad game. And then it uses an IP that I was familiar with too, so I like that. This is interesting. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I guess it's just I think this kind of, to me, confirms, like you were hinting at, that we're probably not getting Titanfall 3 ever. Which I'm neutral on. I never played. I didn't play 1 or 2, but it's kind of a sad thing. Those are supposed to be really great games, but I don't know.
It's really weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Well, first of all, your segue from Code Vein into this was really good, by the way. But
thank you.
it could. You never really know with stuff like this. Like, it could have been just, in the structure of their company. Like, who knows? But like, maybe 4 or 5 people had some extra time and threw together a prototype in the company, and they're like, hey, that's actually pretty cool. Let's dedicate a couple of months and make that. Like, maybe it was literally just a, hey, we can, so we did sort of a deal.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's EA saying, hey, come up with something that we can make this Titanfall property make us a little more money. Or but again, like, that's their fault for releasing it right next to Battlefield. But like, yeah, it's interesting, and it's possible that they just in somewhere, and again, because I haven't played Titanfall 1 or 2 either, but like, I heard Titanfall 2 is really good actually, and maybe they saw something in the mechanics in that game that they thought would translate really well into a game, and maybe it's like a passion project. I mean, it's all speculation. Who knows? I question how well it will do.
Yeah.
Just because, Titanfall, it's a household name in that people have heard of it, but I don't know if it's a household name in that it's like, oh yeah, Titanfall, I love that world. Like Fire Emblem, I think, like, yeah, it's a niche, more like Eastern aware audience maybe, but I think that that's a bigger crowd possibly.
But
yeah, and it's like Halo Wars. It's like how much crossover between FPSs and RTSs or whatever are there? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's easy money too, because we've seen, well, if you do it right, mobile games make a ton of money, and I think that though having an IP that people know can give you a great jump start. It, like, I don't know if you've seen, but more people downloaded Super Mario Run than Fire Emblem Heroes, but Fire Emblem Heroes made 10 times as much money as Super Mario Run did.
Right.
And with Titanfall Assault, I think that, yeah, it would help if it was a better known IP, but if it's a good mobile game, or if it catches on, or they know how to show it to that market, it can boom. The other thing that's really cool is that Respawn did have a hand in this. I doubt, because it says developers Respawn in Particle City, and then it was published by Nexon. So at least they had a hand in it somewhat, so it is authentic to Titanfall. How much of a hand they had in it when they're currently working on Star Wars, I don't know. I doubt they had much time to put into this mobile game, but really interesting. Odd story. I didn't think I would wake up today and see that Titanfall had a mobile game. If you told me pick a mobile game that was releasing for an IP, would have never picked Titanfall. Ever.
Well, and also, like, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is an EA
good point.
product, So it's like EA is all about this. Galaxy of Heroes is making them lots of money as far as I can tell. And, like, why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
And this also
we have this
reminds
IP,
me,
don't let it rot. Make something out of it.
Yeah.
so if you guys remember, Activision bought the Candy Crush company for
Hinck.
It's some absurd amount of
Yeah.
money. But didn't they recently announce they're going to do a Call of Duty mobile game too? I feel like I read that recently.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
I'll follow up.
Activision.
I mean, like, this makes. I mean, the more I think about it, all of this makes total sense because it's like, it's just like try to hit every market. You have an IP already, so that's just creative. You don't have to think up.
Yep.
So it's like that saves money, that saves time. You can iterate quicker, and then especially if it's a world that can withstand and hold up a different gameplay idea. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, kind of. Like, it's even if it I would say that even if the install base isn't huge, they probably will not lose money on this.
Yep.
Just because, enough people, or like 1 million people or whoever, are going to say, yeah, I'll download it, it's free. And then, like, if 20,000 of them spend, $5 or $6, then they'll be making cash. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but
No, I think
also,
you got
this
a point.
is a win-win, because it's like Titanfall isn't that big of an IP where if this does fail, it won't tarnish the brand, because we're probably not getting another Titanfall. So it's like, yeah, let's try to earn money off of this.
Yeah, and their dev costs had to be real small, I would think.
I mean, compared to Titanfall 2, yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting.